What's up, Cancer rising, my super protective baby, always changing their emotional state because you are run by the moon. So really look at the moon card in tarot, understand that as naturally in relationships, you're somebody who can go through a tremendous amount of delusions when it comes to imagining your dream partner. What you got to watch for with Capricorn and your descendant, Capricorn 7th house, is not falling for what it looks like rather than what it feels like deep within your body. And that's going to be one of your meters of success in your relationship dynamics. This is your AstroShaman inspiring brilliance with spiritual accountability and occult practices. Join our membership, check it out if you want to go ahead and keep yourself spiritually accountable, especially as a Cancer rising, right? Like very spiritual sign being the moon, right? Linked to past lives. Hit the thumbs up and the like button early. This is my dating and sex life series for Cancer rising and Capricorn 7th house. You're also going to need to know up front, the Aries is in your 10th house, okay? The highest point that you can go other than the 11th house. And then Libra is going to be in your 4th house. Now these matter for your dating and sex life because these are the angular houses. These are the houses that are most karmically driving you towards X, Y, and Z that we're going to cover in this video. So first, before I go any further, you need to understand where your Mars placement is at to better understand how your battles will be, okay? You yourself on the public stage, aka how you present yourself, what is the identity that you show to the world, which is going to be what? How people witness you, kind of like your rising sign, but different from Cancer rising, right? But how the public world witnesses you. So you have to understand that, how they witness the way you assert yourself, the way you assert your will, because that will either repel and push people away and repulse them, or it'll help draw them in. So Aries in the 10th house, you know, can be innocence. You could draw people in with your innocence, with your joy, with your laughter, or you can push people away with your warlike nature. But it depends on where your Mars is at. I've seen this placement with a Mars and Pisces, and I've seen this placement, the same placement with a Mars and Sagittarius. Now these are similar because of Jupiter's influence, but they're also very different, right? Like Sagittarius is still fire and Pisces is still water, and Mars is super powerful, if not too powerful, in a chaotic way in Sagittarius versus Pisces, right? More in an emotional chaos. So you want to understand where your Mars is at to better understand your Aries. Now second, you want to know where your Venus is at to understand your Libra in the 4th house. All right, so Libra in the 4th house will better understand through Venus, as well as if I'm doing a reading for somebody, for example, I'm also looking right at their Saturn. I'm going to understand what aspects are coming from those two placements. Finally, the moon is going to be probably the most important person for you because Cancer rising, you're run by the moon, and your emotional state will change from day to day. And you're going to need to notice in your relationship so that you can be reasonable somehow with your partner, and be clear with them up front, because the person you'll be likely attracted to will be more of a stoic nature and very stern and inflexible, want to be a support system for you. But you're going to find that you're not going to be able to depend on that person. You're going to attract them when you're in your weaker states, when you are not owning your power. You'll attract people who you feel you need to support you and to be that backbone. Capricorn being the backbone, Capricorn being the knees. You'll feel like, you know, I feel weak without you. I can't live without you. My knees get weak at the sight of you. All right, and that's all fun and dandy as long as you can still fend for yourself out in the real world, okay? Because that 7th house Capricorn, that Capricorn Descendant, is really your shadow self. It's really the reflection showing the projection of, this is the strength that I have. This is the strength that I need to adopt. This is the strength that I need to morph into. And you can do that as a Cancer rising. Why? Because the moon moves every 3 to 4 days and it morphs into a different zodiac sign, right? So when you understand the 12 zodiac signs, probably most important for you, because it is literally what's going to dictate how you rise in the morning and how you feel and what you do. And if you're aware of that, you know, like, okay, when the moon is in Pisces, today I'm going to rise and do my isolation and tell my partner every Pisces moon I need to be away. But when the moon rises in, let's say, Aries or Leo, you might rise and want to get that nut very quickly, very early. All right, and Aries, that nut might be most intentional, okay, or orgasm when it comes to what? Your career. So having sexual manifestations towards your career and being intentional on, here's who I want to be in the world. this is the celestial identity that I would like to reveal. Now you got to understand as well, you know, when you look at that Aries 10th house, when it comes to you and dating relationships, you need to almost create a persona. You need to create an identity that you're going to show the world, and it's going to be a part of your shell. It's going to be a part of what protects you. Otherwise, you likely won't step outside the house, and you'll stay in the home, and you'll stay private, and you'll stay very hidden and very skeptical and really cynical of a lot of other people, of like, you don't want the good for me. But that's not really true. And kind of where that happened is going back to Libra 4th house, where you were the mediator growing up in your family, whether between a married couple, being your parents, or between your siblings, especially your sisters, right? Depending on what your Venus says, because Venus could be representing your sisters, or even powerful women. But you also got to look at that Saturn placement for you, Cancer rising, because that's going to represent more so like closer to the father figures, even the oldest son. So again, take a chart reading if all that was a little too extra confusing. All right, but if I get more into the generalities of your dating, your sex life, the sex life itself, the actual physical action of sex, you need to check your Mars. Understand that. And your Aries will show you a lot. Aries in that 10th house will have a tremendous amount of battles with society. Okay, society at large will see you as a threat the more power you gain. And as a Cancer rising, you're going to want to naturally kind of go back into your shell. But what's most important is, again, understand where that moon is at, because some days you're going to need to be in that shell, and that's going to be where you're safe and protected. And other days, to be safe and protected, you're going to need to cutthroat somebody, and you're going to need to stand up and stand out and essentially work against to free yourself from the traditions, aka Capricorn 7th house, Capricorn Descendants, that your own family genealogy has as for programs and response mechanisms. Again, going back to that Saturn. So Saturn is probably one of the most important placements for you, in the moon. And you know, naturally the moon and Saturn has a complex relationship. Okay, it has a complex relationship. So I'm not going to go down that avenue because that could be a wormhole. But when you look at dating and sex life, what you need to really understand is you're going to want to attract very powerful, business orientated, reliable partners. All right. But just remember, you need to be that powerful, reliable, and orientated person for yourself. So as a Cancer rising, you need to continuously step away from the public eye, from business connections, from relationships where you go out and you date, especially outside of your skepticism, your natural skepticism of like people want to harm you, or they don't. Not everybody wants to harm you, and it's not saying that nobody doesn't. Okay, but understand that you in business and you in love and relationship are very different. So I need to think about what's your 5th house. That's a good question. Cancer. Next water sign, Scorpio. So Scorpio, 5th house. Yeah. Okay, that's the skepticism. Okay, that's the control right there in your dating and romance life. You really, when you're dating, you gotta truly be yourself. You gotta show who you really are. And even if you do that with patience, that's perfectly fine. Okay, you don't have to do that right away, because Scorpio in the 5th house, when it comes to you dating, you're not gonna necessarily reveal all your cards. Like that's not the nature of the Scorpio. The nature of the Scorpio is to continuously humble themselves, though, as well as they move along, and to let go of the parts of their identity that is not true. And you have to understand that part of that Aries 10th house, you're going to show the world a version of yourself that's not accurate to who you truly are. And it is a part of the way that Aries protects itself in warlike crisis. And for you, the warlike crisis is every time you step outside the house. So you're always going to feel like there's a battle, and you're tremendously sensitive. So as a sensitive energy of your natural environment, of the home environment, one, your home needs to be a very symmetrically pleasing and aesthetically healing and nurturing place of refuge. And you'll find refuge in art, museums as well, I would say. But you almost want to make your house, your own home, a museum of harmony. And that's going to help you better deal with when you have to step outside in the dating and the sex life scene, because the key thing is you might attract and see reflections of people who have a tremendous amount of sexual energy and even seem naturally horny, where they want to get that quick oof, that quick nut, that quick orgasm. But that's not gonna work for you in the long term. So that may be a different stage. It may just a particular stage in your life, in your infancy, quote unquote, Aries in the 10th house. But your shadow is to really have a long-standing relationship. You want somebody that you can depend on for until death, right? Like literally until death do us part. That's the key. And you're not going to do that unless you start taking the time to feel what you're feeling for yourself and not project your feelings onto other people, not project your immaturities, emotionally speaking, onto other people and try to make them become your emotional crutch. That's what will happen when you don't take the time to reflect and understand what you are, who you are, how you feel. And then you can turn around and be empathetic for the next person across from you who might be naturally repressed, emotionally speaking, and only driven towards their status and their success and gaining more. All right, because that square happening naturally from the Aries 10th house to the 7th house, you are going to naturally attract people in reverse reflection projection of yourself who need to mature tremendously. They need to mature, and you'll attract people that will force that maturation process in your dating life. So when you're dating somebody who tries to set rules and guidelines and structures, don't look at that as a bad thing. Take a very clear look at, this is what I need to do for myself. And when I start doing that for myself, I will need my partner to do that for me. And then I can start to create the home that we raise a family in, that we create and start a symmetrical legacy where you can use your mediating abilities that you had to do when you were growing up in your youth to mediate the family dynamic. And that's going to be something that you really feel nice and warm in your heart and your stomach and your gut. You feel that warmth, you feel that safety, you feel that security of like, yes, I need that stable, reliable partner. Now, with that being said, again, your Mars placement will give the most indications about the actual sex itself. But when I said that, what I felt was you're gonna need a lot of sex. Like, whoever that reliable partner is, you're gonna need to have somebody with a tremendously strong sex drive. And you're also going to need sacred sexuality practices. That's going to be very critical because you need to be connected at the soul level, at the intimate level, because the 5th house represents sex, is Scorpio for you. And this is somebody who needs that spiritual connection, a spiritual tie. So the physical won't be enough for you. And so you got to be careful of looking to attract somebody who just looks beautiful, but is not beautiful on the inside. That's going to be your downfall. It's going to be the death of you. It's going to be the part that makes you paranoid and in your relationships and your dating life. And it's going to essentially make you want to kill people. And so be careful. Okay. Don't just go for what it looks like, of what success looks like, what status looks like, what the traditional man or woman looks like that fits your ideal imagination, but actually take the time to step back into what it feels like. As you hit that thumbs up and that likes button, if you want a reading with me personally speaking, you can obviously do that. You can book that. If you made it to the end of the video, drop a Cancer with a wave symbol, or even the Cancer with the moon symbol, and let me know that you made it to the end of the video to go ahead and support. I have something for you. All right, your angels have come and said they're glad that you have watched this video. So if you made it to the end of this, let me know that you feel the angelic support, you feel the tremendous and celestial guidance within your dating, your life, and your sex life, and drop the angel wing, okay, or an angel with a halo that lets me know. Thank you. And I want to say thank you for hitting that thumbs up. Subscribe if you're brand new. All right, if you already are a returning subscriber, I want to say thank you. You are the main support on the channel. I love you. I see you. All right, I appreciate you. We're on that mission. So I'll see you soon. Love, love, love.